What's up, everybody? Let me get my camera here switched a little bit. Was just shooting a little high. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the next live stream, guys. I did have to interrupt editing a video for this. We're doing the 6.7 Powerstroke starter video I'm editing. And let me tell you, what a major difference that had. It's a great starter. I went into that video thinking, man, this really can't be that great of a deal. And I left that install going, well, everybody should be doing this. Not to say that the 6.0 starter isn't a good starter for a lot of people, but just really, really shocked at how well. Sorry, I got to get a couple things set up here. I was running just a little late when I was doing it. My phone's about to die. Let me get this plugged in. And hopefully we get some people popping in here soon. Sometimes a little bit of a slow start to the live stream. But yeah, so I left that. I mean, for those of you guys that don't want to wait for the video to officially release, buy a 6.7 starter for your 6-liter. It's probably one of the coolest things I've done. Probably not coolest, but it starts like a gas vehicle at this point, which is wild to me. It's that big of a difference. But in the video, I do kind of go into talking about how if you're going to, if you're on a tight budget and you can get a 6-liter one super cheap, just buy it. But man, that 6.7 starter is just a monster. It really was wild. And the Amazon price for it was pretty good. I think I'm 100 and... What's up, Rock? How you doing, man? Welcome to the live stream. Don't forget to drop a like. We're just kind of going on here now about the 6.7 starter video I'm editing right now. That's actually one of the things I stopped doing to get over here. But that should, depending on how late we go tonight, it'll be released tomorrow or the next day. But man, what a wild starter for the 6-liter. I highly encourage everybody. If you're looking for a starter, that's the starter that people should be working on, because it is awesome. Anyway, though, let's start picking a topic. Those of you guys that are here, I know there's not a lot yet, but drop down in the chat. What is a topic for the 6-liter you'd like me to talk about, or the 6.4, 6.7? I'm open to suggestions, but I'm looking for a background topic to fill kind of the absent time here, instead of me just rambling about this, that, and the next thing, which I do kind of do anyway. But I'm looking for some opinions down here. Rock, you jumped in the live stream chat there. What's your opinion about a topic we should be talking about? And again, anybody else that's floating around there, please don't hesitate to get in there and drop an idea for our background topic in between questions and comments from you guys, which you obviously know I always take. Until I get a topic, I'm going to actually go on about the wiring setup I'm doing for the 6-liter, because these trucks are getting older, and grounds need redone. Make sure that they're clean and that the truck's getting all the power that it should be getting. So we want to go redo some of those things. And then there's some grounds I'm going to be upgrading as well. We did do a crossover cable, which again, I will be making some of those kits if people are interested. What up, Ninja? How you doing, brother? That is actually the next project for the 6-liter is the wiring upgrades. So I was shocked at how much of a difference actually the first just 4-aught wire that I made, how much of a difference it made. With the old starter that was cranking super slow, it let it start when it wouldn't before. Whereas it really wasn't starting prior. I couldn't get it to. In the video I'm putting out, there's actually a clip I'm starting the video with of it trying to start and not being willing to until I put the new starter in. Good injector size for towing. That's a really good one. So this can kind of go a couple different ways. First off, been working on my side-by-side, getting ready for a trip. Where are you going, Pat? So I have basically like 3 injector sizes I like for towing. The first one, a lot of people don't expect this from me. The stock injector size is actually really good with a tow tune. It will pair well with a stage 1 turbo or the factory turbo. There really isn't a reason. There isn't like a dying need to upgrade your turbo with stock injectors and a tow tune. Strictly from a driving characteristic standpoint, I do prefer a 10 blade. I do prefer the 10 blade turbine side over the 13. However, it's not the end of the world if you have the 13, especially if you have like a late 04 that had the larger 13 blade, but all of them are relatively decent for towing. But stock is great. I will say this, if you're going to stick with a stock turbo, I don't really recommend upgrading a turbo or injectors, excuse me. They're just, you're always going to be held back by them, and you can kind of push a stock injector a little harder than you might push an aftermarket one to achieve a very similar response and overall performance setting. So now if you're saying, hey, I plan to stay stock turbo now, but in the future I'd like to upgrade, then that does change my opinion, because you can always change the fueling of the injector to match your turbo. So say you can make a 190/30 injector pair really well with a stock turbo. It's not an ideal situation, don't get me wrong, but you can really defuel them a lot to make them run nice on a stock turbo. My preference for stock, again, for stock turbo, stick with stock injectors. However, if you're saying in a year I'm looking at like a stage 1 or a stage 2, what should my setup be then? Then I changed my opinion. My favorite towing setup of all time, injector and turbo setup, is a 175 stock nozzle injector with a stage 2 turbo. This is just a great combination. The stage 2 turbo pairs really well with them. And again, a lot of the stage 2s are very similar in overall size and performance out there. So bear that in mind as you're taking this advice from me. But that is the nicest towing setup. One, your EGTs are going to be well within check. You're going to have a truck that on a full fuel tune can make about 520 horsepower. It's a pretty quick truck. On the tow tune, you obviously make a fair amount less. However, the truck just runs so nice in this configuration. To this day, probably my favorite towing setup of all time is that right there. Now, if you're looking for something that's more of a play toy that can tow, 190/30s, a 205/30 with a lot of fuel pulled out of it, and again, that stage 2 to a stage 2.5, turbo time makes it stage 2.5, and I do really like it. That's what's in my truck right now. What's tough about that is it starts to get big and create a little extra lag. Not a ton. It still can tow, but it does kind of become a little more cumbersome trying to make that setup tow effectively. Stage 3 turbos, all of them are out for towing. If you need big enough injectors to run a stage 3 and you're towing heavy, you're just going to have a rough time with current technologies. That is subject to change. Who knows what's 2 years away, what could pop up and maybe change kind of the landscape for that. But as of now, it's just kind of not really worth it to do. And we'll have fun on your trip, man. Stock injectors with the stage 2, the 64 millimeter is a great setup, truthfully. Jacob, what's up, man? How are you doing? Welcome to the live stream, brother. If you go bigger injectors, you have to tune. Yeah, you can get away with a bigger turbo and not tuning. You'll see lower boost numbers, and you'll definitely have more lag, but you can get away with it. When you change your injectors out, you need tunes to make them work correctly and make sure they're not doing any damage to your truck. So that is something to consider. Let's see here. You have an 06 6.0. Glad to have you, man. What question? Do you have any questions or concerns that I can help answer, or just ideas? Welcome to the channel, man. that is one thing that's really cool about the live streams. And I know I'm still kind of trying to build this audience back up to what it used to do when I was doing these all the time years ago. But it's a cool way for new people to the channel to like kind of interact with me. I'm not able to get to as many events as I would like to and get out and see people, but this is really kind of a neat way for people to get to interact with me. And not a lot of people do this. Back when I originally started doing live streams, I was like the only like car YouTube channel that was doing this kind of platform and just kind of talking to everybody. So it's a cool way. I'm glad to get back to it. I'm sure you guys have noticed that a lot more content is getting posted on the channel, which that makes me happy as I kind of work on coming back. And this actually, we had a good month for views. We were up like 8,000 views from last month. So I'll take that. That's a step in the right direction. But yeah, definitely a lot more videos getting put out there for everybody. So happy for that. Jacob, do you have a completely stock 6-liter or do you have upgrades to it? What do you have going on? And what do you want to do with it in the future? Rock, did that help answer your question as far as injectors, turbo kind of setup? Just starting to mess with it. You have a Power Max, great turbo, honestly. I have Power Max Stage 1 studded, deleted. I've been fixing the little gremlins over the last 2 years, and now she's ready for sticks. I bought 155s over 30, or 30% overs. Holder Premium, great injector builder. Warren and Holder, their premium lineups, I think, are the two go-to people. I hear good and bad about both, but I really think, you get a person or two that's a little bent out of shape about something, they're going to say something negative. But both are making good sets of injectors. My 205/30s are made from a guy out of California, but he does it as like a hobby. For most people doing it, you're going to have that's going to be a nice setup. You're going to really enjoy that. The Power Max Turbo, maybe not the greatest design turbo out there, but it is a good overall turbo. Especially the value. What are they going for now? $14,900, so about $1,500. Let me check one other source before I say what the price was. But complete. Oh, that's not what I wanted. But they really are, like, I ran one for a long time. It wasn't until I got my sponsorship and started reviewing turbos with them that I actually did something different. Oh yeah, so about $1,500, some a little less, some a little more. Just throw it out there. My turbo sponsor is cheaper, $14.95. What do you do with your truck, Jacob? That's a nice build, man, overall. That sounds fun. 60-gallon fuel tank, wicked sound system, gauges and all the fun stuff. Finally on my 4th trans flush, and I'm happy with the state of it. Nice, man. Are you flushing it or doing like drain and fills? Like drain it, fill it up with fresh stuff, drive it around a little, re-drain it. What exactly are you doing with that, Jacob? 60-gallon fuel tank. What company did you go with for that? And what's your sound system? I love sound. So we're going to be doing an overhaul of the sound system on the 6-liter in the near future. And then we're going to start doing the sound system on the 6.7. My next video after the 6.7 starter upgrade is actually going to be a headlight upgrade on the 6.7. That's going to be coming next. Are reman injectors even worth it, or is it better to go new injectors? I replace all injectors since I have that one that had stiction right now. So I will say, Noah, first I would try Arch Oil or Hot Shots to kind of get you, like, it really does help with stiction. Maybe get a little more life out of them. I personally am not a big fan of reman injectors unless they're coming from like a quality builder. I'll say this, like Warren and Holder, there's a clear difference in their reman non-premium injectors over getting oh gosh, who used to does Alliance still? Alliance used to make injectors and they were really nice. I've run their injectors before. And I even ran one of their remand injectors they used to do. So there are some good remans out there. Sometimes they do get expensive. And then the new injectors that are coming out, uh, they can be pricey as well. Like I just went to Alliance page here, and they're expensive for a new G2.8 injector, $411. Man, Pat, do you know the price of a Ford injector right now? If you're places I would trust a reman injector from, Warren and Holder, but only their premium lineup. Ford is a place I would consider. Full Force Diesel makes some nice stuff, although you don't really hear much about them either. So they do make injectors, and they were really really big with 7.3 stuff, but they're still in the market with 6 liters. Let me quick look up. I don't care about package deals. I want injectors only. Fuel system. There we go. So for stock injectors, they look like they're just shy of. Oh, so they have Alliant. Let me see if this is Remand. I would trust the Alliant. There's a core charge 2-year unlimited mile warranty, $185.87 a piece. So if you want a full set of brand new Alliance here, you're talking just under $2,400 pre-tax, and remands they're just under $1,500. That's on Full Force Diesel's website. Either one of those I think is a great option. I don't know. They have some Bosch stuff. They have a lot more on here I'm not familiar with, but those would be essentially my 4 options. Warren, Holder Premium, Alliant, Full Force, or I guess 5, or Ford. Those are going to be your best bets in my opinion. Take a shop that has machine they hooked up around the truck on a lift and actually flush a converter to. Nice, man. Running arch oil right now, first time, but I was curious on your opinion. Yeah, no, does that help answer your okay, I see. Yeah, those are definitely good choices across the board with good reputations. I've run I've ran Full Force 7.3 injectors in my dad's truck. I've run Alliant. I've run Warren Remand once. Actually, Josh has a Warren Remand in his truck for years now. It doesn't see a ton of miles, but it is in there. So like a lot of these I have some actual experience with. Rockford Frostgate amps, 2 shallow mount 12s, really nice door speakers, and an SMB tank. Jacob, you got a nice build, man. I'm watching your buddy race here. What is this thing? Oh, the thing looks awesome though. Jacob, that's a nice sound system. So I have a mix and match speaker setup. Like I have Infinities in the rear, MB Quartz up front. Again, we're going to move those to the 6.7 in between the actual, when I finally do the actual whole sound system. And then I got 2 12-inch shallow mounts behind the seat, 1,500 watt amp to it that I'm running at about 1,000 watts. But it needs to, we're going to do the sound deadening stuff, the whole 9 on that. I'm very excited for that build. And I have Rockford Prime speakers to go in the 6 liter, and then I'm going to amp them as well. So I'm very excited for that. It's gonna be so much fun listening to that sound system when I'm done. The truck has a trailer on it maybe a dozen times a year towing a car or truck, but other than that, it's fun miles and a road trip. Yeah. Honestly, driving Super Duties on long trips is kind of fun. I know some people don't love it, but they have a ton of room. They do okay fuel economy on the highway, depending on what your overall setup is, and if you're driving like an adult. I don't always drive like an adult. Um, they can haul a ton of stuff. I love them. Side by sides with mine. Check out my link. See what you think. I just pulling the other link up here. Wait, you just sent this link, didn't you? Throwing 2300 watts at my shallow mounts, and they get down. Holy crap, 2300 watts is loud. I'm like I said, I'm about 1,000 on mine, and I thought so, Pat. I love it. Um, I've never had an amp to door speaker, so I'm excited for that. And I've never done sound deadening, and um, I also want to do like from the speaker, like have the foam rings around to the door, so you really get all that sound quality. So I am excited that that'll all be on video. I'm trying to get some old videos up that I've been goofing around with for a while. That's obviously been an issue. I've always recorded a lot more than I've actually posted at times, which is a frustrating thing I do to myself on a regular basis. But uh, it is something I'm working on. I have a lot of old videos that are going to be coming out. Uh, like some aren't even 6 liter or 6.7 stuff. It's um, what's the one? The one is like a big brake booster master cylinder on my sister's car. There's stuff like that that I need to get out there that I have not, but will be in the near future. Um, So, which that's kind of a nice leeway into or a headway into talking about the wiring upgrade. I am officially that is one of my next projects to do now that the 6.7 starter's in. I did the one wire I made the crossover. So that video series is I'm gonna kind of do a video on each wire I'm adding to the truck. So making it and adding it. Um, and then I'll kind of review everything in a final video for everybody. And that's when I'll actually start being willing to make the kits for people that are looking for me to have them on there. So, you're restoring the truck right now. It's gray, black, two-tone. Have a new bed, some 10 wide forces. Uh, so I have a 20 by 10 fuel wheels. I think it's like fuel sledge, and I do love them. I love the look. I don't have a crazy offset on them, um, but it is like my favorite. I just love the look of them. It's got a nice aggressive stance. What nobody tells you about it though is it kicks crap up like to here on your vehicle, and that's a big pain in the butt. Um, yeah, Pat, they definitely need the added grounds. Um, they're just getting older. I know on so like the 7.3 had each battery had a negative post, a frame to engine. On the 6 liter, they didn't do a frame to engine on it. The other thing I have is since I have aluminum heads, I don't want to necessarily ground off the head. You can still, like aluminum does conduct electricity, but I want to go right to the block. So what I'm going to be doing on mine is I'm going to run to a lower bolt hole on it. I have the bolts. I just need to get a different eyelid for it. The lugs I have they're for 3/8, and I don't have the. I need a 1/2 inch for that particular bolt hole. So that is one thing when I'm making those kits, I will be very specific with people because I'm going to need to know that information. But what we're going to do, I think for the kits, I'm going to have two options for the crossover cable. I ran a 4/0, which is, I think, probably too much considering we're not getting rid of any of the factory stuff. but it does, I mean, it works. It's not a bad thing per se. But I think a 2 watt is more than enough in conjunction with the factory wire, and I think that'll actually help a lot of people more so, and it's a better spending of your money. That cable I made is like an $80 cable, uh, which is kind of a pain in the butt and not really worth it, in my opinion, for most people. Jason, what's your take on bulletproof bypass oil cooler setup? I've been thinking about installing this on my '06, but don't know if it's worth it for 3K. So this kind of goes back and forth on a lot. I do not personally think it's worth it on it. Um, I think the difference is, like, a lot of people say it's casting sand still in these blocks. These are 20-year-old trucks. Um, I mean, even some of the later years at this point are coming up on 20 years. Like, the newest 6 liter in a pickup truck you could get is still 19 years old. Think about an um I'm sorry, 18, because an '07 would have sold in '06. So you don't still have sand in your system anymore. That oil cooler has done failed and is long out of your truck, if that is the cause. I think a lot of the cause tends to be contamination in the cooling system itself, and the bypass system. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I think it is a little bit of a waste of money. I mean, 3 grand for even on the salty end, $800 job that anybody can do themselves with some relatively basic hand tools. Is it fun? No. Uh, Hopefully you don't get as good at it as I do, where you can be down and putting the truck back together at at the 2 hour mark. But it's just a little bit of a bit. I just have a hard time swallowing that. Like, I'm pulling up their oil systems now. Here in the near future, I'll actually have I have 2 monitors now. I just don't have them set up while I'm finishing building my desk, which we will put out there in a video. But yeah, I just don't overall think it's worth it. It's very, very expensive for. I don't know that you're really getting. Excuse me. I don't know that you're really getting your worth out of it. That's my take. Do I think it's a bad kit? No. There's always the relocation kit they do. That's a little more interesting to me. Josh has it in his truck. I don't think it sits really nicely in there personally. Uh, what I do like about that is it lets you, or at least it used to be able to get you used to be able to have a 6.7 cooler. That's what I'm attempting to say. I'm looking for it right now. Yeah, they let you use a 6.7 cooler, which they're not really prone to breaking the same way. They're taller. So I will say that's kind of neat. Being able to run a 6.7 cooler. What I really should do is I should buy my brother a 6.7 cooler, put it on his truck, and test if it's actually worth it. Uh, that would be kind of a neat video. But it would also be $300 that I don't need to spend either. But overall, I don't think it's worth it. I think maintaining your cooling system or switching out your coolant. Ford Gold's a good coolant. It requires maintenance. It's like a 30,000-mile coolant, and you got to get it out and replace it. I don't like the additive thing. I know they say the additives will work, but just not really worth it in the end. I have extra USA built oil coolers now. You can't get them. Pat, I might need to hit you up for one if I ever need one in spare. But I think that's really the trick. And then you can just I like the way the Ford system looks. It fits nicer in there. It's a tight space to be running hoses all over the place. I just don't like the way it looks in there. Is it bad? No. Is it worth it? Also, I don't think so. Run the factory stuff. Take care of your coolant. Switch out to a Cat ELC1 rated, and you'll probably be happier. I don't want to go too wide, but I want the aggressive look with the new injectors and putting in. Jacob, that'll definitely be a nice look. I would say keep your offset very mild. I forget what my offset is. They don't stick out crazy far either, but I know they do kick a lot of crap up. But I wish I probably could have changed my offset. I probably would have been a little happier with it. New O-ring head 64 Type S fly. Pat, you do have a killer build, man. Noah, mine's an 03. So mine's a early 04 with 03 engine. So it had the 10 blade turbo. It says the log style oil rails with the original pump. That thing, they're overall my favorite. I do like the newer style oil rails, but I did not put that in there. No, if you've paid attention, I said in the trucks, not the vans, bud. Pat, that's funny because mine was originally sold in California. Somebody shipped it to Texas. I shipped it from Texas to Pennsylvania. That's kind of funny. Hold on, I lost my spot here. There was nothing major that changed in the 6 liters to make the other years actually better. There's a more reliable high pressure oil pump, but it's also much more prone to high pressure oil leaks than the earlier system. The earlier system fails the high pressure oil pump more often, although that has been addressed in recent overhauls of the system. So it's not really a big deal. From a reliability standpoint, it's the 03s at this point are slightly emphasis on slightly better engine, strictly from how many miles you're going to get between crap going wrong. They have a little bit better cam profile. They went to a more EGR focused one in the late 04s and onward, along with smaller and smaller turbos over the years. Joe, how are you doing, man? You need to share a screen on the line when we discuss stuff like this. Again, what I need to probably do so I can do that. I don't think I can do that on YouTube software. I probably need to look into getting onto like Streamlabs or one of those other platforms to be able to have more focus. As I get the other monitor up and I can, have a little more screen real estate available to me, maybe I will look more into that and what I can do. But that's a good idea, Joe. You are right. Jacob, your injectors are fine. Not my favorite size, but they're perfectly fine and you'll love them. 205/30s is too big for what you want to do. But yeah, Jacob, you're fine, man. I just took that IPR research kit off my truck. Joe, are you talking about the IPR oil cooler relocation kit? Because that is a neat one. They were the first ones to actually do the later style oil cooler on it. Sorry, just getting through the dumb stuff. I already have mine in hand. Jacob, Nolan, kill me, kid. Jacob, I know Goofy is trying to convince you. Like, is that the injector I recommend to many people? Not really. However, it's not that it's a bad injector. 175 stock nozzles is honestly my favorite for tow pegs, but you're like we're talking single digit % differences in how they're going to perform. And what I like. So you have a perfectly fine injector. Do not listen to this goofball. Where was I? It keeps moving me from my spot. Running cat rated. Cats, Noah, I love the cat stuff. That's what I like in mine. It's not in mine right now, but it will be in the future. Has anyone tried the Titan or SMB fuel tank? So I've seen the SMBs in person. They're a great fuel tank, man. They overall are probably the highest quality fuel tanks out there. Titans aren't bad either, though, and you can get more affordable Titan ones. I'm going to be running a Titan in the 6.7. What I'm going to do on the 6 liter is what's called the Harpoon mod. You don't hear a lot about that these days. It's a free mod you can do, but it will let you get like 32-ish gallons in your truck, which is kind of a big jump. I know it doesn't sound it, like 4 to 5. You get like 4 to 5 extra gallons in, depending on how much you do it. But this is what I'm going to be doing on mine. It just you mess with the vent on it, excuse me, and it'll let more diesel fuel in, because diesel doesn't expand the way gasoline does, so you don't need that feature. It's the same tank from the gas trucks that are put in there. They need the room for the gasoline to expand in there, whereas with diesel we don't have that issue. So for 6 liters, I think most people probably be pretty happy with the Harpoon mod, which is what, like I said, I'll definitely be doing that. But on the 6.7, I'm going to go Titan. I have a hard time dropping $1,200 when there's like an $850 option out there. At least that's the last time I looked for their fuel tanks. Quick looking it up now. Hold on, let me get there to the right truck part. They used to also have like products. Here we go. They used to also have like a clearance section if there was like something not perfect on it, and you could get like a pretty big discount on that. Their prices do look like they've gone up a little bit. Crew cab short bed on a 6.7 50-gallon fuel tank for $1,000. They have a 60-gallon fuel tank for $1,400. Crew cab long bed 65-gallon $1,500. So that's just a quick look. I don't know what all they have here. So they do still have the scratch and dent section. 6.0, do not get me wrong, they sound great and are powerful, but holy crap, downs along with the 6.4. But hey, everything breaks. Outdoors, the 6 liter is not junk. Mediocre mechanics is what gave it its bad rep. Does it have some crap that needs addressed? Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. But like almost all trucks do. I mean, look at Cummins. Those guys love them. They go through transmissions like it's part of the job. Even some of the really built ones aren't super reliable. They're much better. And you can build a reliable 6 or Cummins transmission, but there's definitely some issues there. I heard that Ford Gold is the worst coolant you could use, and haven't heard a lot about the yellow coolant, but the red ELC coolant has got to be number one. Ford Gold had some issues when they did it. It's okay now. I know they've changed some stuff. I'm still a Cat fan personally, and if you have your chance, that's what I think a lot of people should run. I know she'll be a good rig. Thank you for coming. Heck yeah, man. Love having you on the channel, Jacob. I really do appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. I need to do Harpoon mod mine too, but no one knows what I'm talking about. I know, Joe, a lot of people, it's one of those mods that if you weren't on the forums years ago, you probably don't know about. I'll be doing a video on it, don't get me wrong. So that'll be coming on the channel in the very near future. Sounds better than GM or Dodge. Outdoors, I kind of agree with you. I run a lot of motorcraft stuff. Again, within reason. Obviously, I'm not. I don't want a rebuilt motorcraft engine personally. What is the best custom tuner for a 6.0 Powerstroke for crazy power and also better fuel economy? So if you're looking at doing SCT is kind of like the preferred platform for custom tuning. Tuning is kind of a bigger topic, and I should really release a new video on this. So, strictly ECM tuning, SCT is going to be your best platform. I do plan to reach out to Blessed Performance about Edge just released custom tuning on the Edge product line, which is different. I don't know of too many times that that's been around. There was a place doing custom tunes for it, but now they're releasing like this broader software. So I do plan to kind of investigate that. But SCT, for if people that are looking at making big power, it is the preferred platform. What's also really nice about this is there's a ton of people tuning on it. Could that change in the future with Edge recently coming out with their new custom tuning? Sure, I could see that changing. I don't think it will, but possibly. So the SCT device opens up all the doors to several people out there. So you can really get, Gearhead ID, Speed Shop is in there, but there's also Blessed Performance. Is it McMichaels, I think, is another popular guy. There's just a ton of options out there that you can really go with at that point for it. So it's exactly anything you want at that point. It's a shame Warren Diesel doesn't tune anymore because they were really good tunes. A lot of people, I have old Warren tunes in my truck now. They were great. We're going to be doing tune reviews very, very soon here again. Just to kind of broaden on this, there is also Fickum tuning, which we're going to experiment with as well in the near future to give you guys some ideas about it and help kind of clear up some of the mysteries that I don't know about it at this point. So there are two types of tuning. The SCT is going to take care of 90% of that tuning for you. The Fickum tuning is really redefining 10%, maybe a little more, maybe more like 15% of refining what the SCT is already going to do for you. And then again, you can just go to different tuners. If you don't like a tuner, you just contact somebody else, buy another tune, and now you can try them out without having to change your SCT device. FCT for monitoring reading codes, but ain't getting into tunes at the moment. I'm still on stock head bolts. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I will say SCT is not my favorite monitoring solution. I do like the Edge lineup a lot more. I know somebody had a SCT live wire, and it was just kind of a goofy setup. I didn't love it. It did okay. It wasn't terrible. Budget monitoring setups, there's some really good ones with Forescan out there is an excellent one. And then Torque Pro, they're both just really, really good monitoring solutions, and they are so cheap to get into, like under $20, and you can be monitoring on either one of them on your phone. You can turn that puppy as high as you want to go, blow the heads off your motor. You just got to have the under table tune guy. Oil leaking around oil filter housing on an 05. So just to double check with you, do you mean under the oil filter housing, just the circular part, or is it leaking from like the base of the oil cooler? If it's where the oil cooler meets the block, then you have to take the truck apart to fix that. If it's just under the oil filter, you detach that whole setup, which is pretty easy to do. You have to undo the fuel lines. There's 4 bolts that hold that down. You can take it. There's an O-ring that gets replaced. And then that might fix your problem. What the other tough thing is that oil cooler is in a couple different pieces when you are doing it. So if you end up having to replace the main gasket on the block, then yeah, that's going to be a big job, because essentially you're doing an oil cooler at that point. Now, if your oil cooler is fine, I wouldn't replace it. I would just tear everything apart and I would replace that gasket under there. Just trying to get caught up in the chat here. Use OEM filter cap. 100% matters. It definitely matters. Well, let me phrase this. If you're like the Wix cap is what a lot of people refer to as. If you're using the Wix cap and Wix filter, you're fine. Not my preference on setups personally. I motorcraft filter, motorcraft cap. You're going to be fine. But if you go to the Wix setup, you just need to keep using the Wix setup, which that cap is not reusable. You pitch it when you buy a new one, you have a new cap. That filter is not meant to be replaceable. But if my preference is the motorcraft stuff. It's reliable, it's proven, it's on more trucks than anywhere else, and we know it's of good quality. So just use that. It's really not that expensive. Like going to Wix, you don't really save a ton of money in the long haul. But yeah, some people were using the Wix cap with a motorcraft filter, and their cap is taller, so it does kind of mess stuff up. Does Blessed Performance have good tunes for both engine and transmission? Blessed is the first tunes I'm going to be reviewing. I'm going to look at sending information off to him this week to get those. I ran them years ago, but I need to get updated tunes so I can give you guys current information. In my experience, I liked his tuning. It was good stuff. It ran really well, but Nolan, you're killing me, dude. Like if you just left, nobody would miss you. Go ahead and make a Q&A. Nobody cares. But in my experience, yes, they did have good tuning. And I did enjoy it. But there's a lot of good options out there. So I would definitely consider everyone. I will say if you go with Blessed Performance, code 60bros will get it is an affiliate link, but it will get you 10% off. So yeah, again, affiliate link or affiliate coupon code gets you 10% off his tuning. I can't remember. He used to offer a free tune with the purchase of an SCT device if you don't already have an SCT. I think he still does. I guess I can just look that up. It's not like I don't have the internet up right now. And then I don't know if my code does any kind of discount on that, but I would definitely at least try it. It's worth a try. Now, his Ficum tuning is who I'm going to be reviewing in the near future. Let's see here. Where the heck is... I have shift on the fly. Blessed Performance X4. Oh no, we're not looking. We're looking for a Powerstroke. Looks like under $400 you can have a 3-tune package plus the X4 from him. He's running a special right now. Now they will hold up to 10 different tunes, so there is that. But that's a good. Let's see what he has. He offers the Tow Boss, an Eco Beast Street tune, and then the Extreme Performance tune as well. So lots of options. Then again, we're going to be getting into the Ficum tuning as well on his stuff, which will be I'm actually really excited for. Where's his Ficum tuning? Ficum tuning. Here we go. I don't know what options there are for it. That's something we need to know. Ordering tune by itself. So he's got a lot of different levels. So they have inductive heating. So he has, for stock injectors, he has 20, 40, and 60 horsepowers with inductive heating or no inductive heating. And then he covers larger injectors. 40, 60, 40, 60. All out power not recommended for towing. So there's that. Very interesting. Like I said, it's a much bigger topic than I know enough about yet. So we do plan to continue to work on it. This Nolan kid doesn't have a life. He likes to come on and just entertain. Honestly, if everybody just ignores him, he goes away. Like last live stream, I don't know if it was like his bedtime or something, but everyone ignored him and he was off in like literally a couple minutes. So I try to just pretend like he doesn't exist. I wish him well, truthfully, but he does get frustrating when he messes up the chat. I'll go to my buddy and get any tune I want for $50. That ain't a bad gig, man. Outdoors, $50 for a tune, especially if it's good stuff. Hard to beat. You need to talk to Bless about your tune because I swear if I roll off the line and progressive on a throttle, it seems to short shift. I don't like it. The 6.0 with tuning, it can be a little goofy. Like if you just get in the throttle from like a dead stop or low RPM, it like kind of stutters over itself. However, if you just slowly roll into the throttle, it just seems to pull better. I've talked with a lot of people on this, people running higher horsepower setups than me, lower horsepower setups, factory tuning. For some reason, my theory is has to do with a combination of the VGT system in the 6 liter for the turbo and a combination of the high pressure oil system to actuate the injectors. But no, Matt over at Bless has always been very nice and helpful to talk to, at least from my experience. With any tuner, sometimes things just don't work out though. So there is that. I've seen that more than once where like one person will rave about a tune and then the next person tries it and it just kind of runs crappy even. ID Speed Shop's older tunes were like that for me. Like I loved them at the track, but daily driving them was brutal. And I didn't like it. I switched out of it. It was fun if you were trying to go fast all the time, but holy crap, you can't live with your truck floored. I do plan to revisit their tunes now. I mean, this is 5 years old since they did that. I just want to try their newer stuff and see how they go. Their tuner has a ton of experience tuning, so it's definitely worth revisiting for me personally. So I'm going to definitely give it a shot and see how I like their current line of stuff out there. Pat, you're funny, man. Noah, thank you. I agree with you. Joe, that's funny. Bye, Felicia. Which speaking of, I've actually formally started looking at the Discord channel for people. So I started it. I haven't actually gone in and set anything up further. I have to learn what I need to do to make that all happen. But it seems like a reasonable place to kind of start another online environment that again, that just is kind of people talking and chatting all the time. So it is something that is coming in the near future. It is started, and I will be kind of going more on it we're slowly getting there. I know it's taking me a long time, but we are slowly but surely getting there to opening that up for more people to be on there. Nolan, not a snowball's chance, bud. All right. I just hit his messages at this point. Um, I'm gonna say you said when you had Pat, who tuned your Ficum? Do you have PHP tuned Ficum on there? There's a lot of people that do it now. I don't know. I know PHP still does it. And they have. I honestly would like all of them. Like I would like PHP just because it's been around so long. Um, Please, do you need a new Ficum? I also need to look into the Ficum. There's stuff about it I don't know. We're also going to add a 8 gauge ground to the Ficum and PCM grounding spots on the body, and we're going to take that down to the frame as well. So if you have a Ficum tune, you may get the same issue. Now I will say this: they do it with Power Hungry Performance does it with an old model of edge tuners, whereas I forget what they call it. It's something goofy they call the thing, but it's an old style edge tuner from like early 2000s. It was cool for its time. Don't get me wrong. Whereas HP tuners is what is being used by Blessed Performance to tune it. So it would be interesting to see what the differences are in tunes and if I like any of them more than the others. I'm quick seeing about the Ficum relay here. It does say that after 100,000 miles, you should consider a Ficum relay change, which I probably will turn around and do when I do this. All this is from ficumrepair.com, which in my opinion is the best repair shop for it. I would like to have my own old Ficum didn't affect anything. I would like to just compare the two. The Ficum or Power Hungry Performance tunes, which really they were the first ones really pushing it. There's a few other companies out there as well. I just think these are probably the two. I believe Innovative Diesel has a Ficum tune as well. At least they used to. Yep, they still do. I don't know. So they do 25, 40, 60, and 80 horsepower. I don't know what device they use. It's expensive. Which I do have to check with them because I have an 03 truck with a later style Ficum in it. They do have a nice website, though. Gotta love their website. You have Ficum repair tune, so they're Power Hungry Performance. I need to get logic board and tune. Joe, do you mean is your logic board damaged or are you looking for a tune? Old Ficum didn't affect any of my tunes. What do you think about Gearhead tunes for 6.0 Powerstroke? Gearhead has been around a long time. Definitely got some good tunes out there. Many people love them. They are a highly regarded tuning company out there. They're definitely, anybody looking at tunes needs to consider them, in my opinion. They are definitely worth a look. I also think I also don't think for like a lot of people that they do like wild stuff on their tunes for stock injectors. Like they're not going to destroy your truck. Let's see here. So 400, I mean, though they get great numbers. So a stock vehicle getting 447, almost 448 horsepower and just shy of 800 pound-feet of torque. That is very impressive. That is a fun truck to drive. Do some people push them a little harder? Yeah, but at the same time, like, I mean, every truck will respond a little differently depending on the health of everything. But I do think, do they only tune for stock nozzles now? That would be terribly that'd be terribly upsetting because they're one of the tunes I want to use, or one of the companies I want to go with for it. So that would be very annoying. But yeah, Jaden, definitely worth a look to consider for your tuning. I know many people love them. I know a lot of people that are very weird about their tunes, dislike a lot of other people, love Gearhead. Joe, I believe they will fix your exact one unless they used to have a service that you could pay for them to ship you one while you sent yours in for repair. But I believe they'd fix your exact board and then send that back. You had your old one done, and I bought an Alliant Ficum and sent it to them to had it tuned. Oh yeah, they're Gearhead's probably one of the few people that, or at least last time I looked, they used to still tune, like, dyno tune your vehicle, which would be a lot of fun to go do. I would love to at some point have my truck dyno tuned, but so few people really do it anymore. My truck still has a stock Ficum as well. It's been, oh. So Noah, what you need to do is, let me get you a link. So your logic side is fine. As long as your logic side is fine, low voltage can be fixed with a replacement of the power supply. And we're at a point where these really cheap power supplies work really well. My brother put one of these in, and that is still working perfectly on his truck. I'm just looking at some reviews here for it. There's a really cheap one that makes me a little nervous. Yeah, no, don't go with the cheap one. But $80 or under $90 is not a bad price here. I think my brother spent like 150 when there wasn't as many of these things out. Let me get you a link. This is an affiliate link. This right here will get you on the road and keeping driving, and you just replace the power side. It's very easy to do. I do plan to have a video on this in the future, even though mine's not bad, but just to kind of show people how to do it. And then you don't have to buy a whole new Ficum. Like if your logic side is fine, which typically when logic sides fail, what they end up doing is you start getting like 2 to 4 injectors bad on opposite banks all at the same time. So like, injectors 2 and 5 might go with 6 and 7. Just like it's kind of a random set of injectors with no rhyme or reason, but it tends to be failures on each bank, not just on one. That's typically when you know that that the logic side is failing. But if your logic side is good, you just turn around and fix the power side. And that's an easy way to do it. It's super reasonable from a cost standpoint, and it can be done very easily. Once they start dipping below 47, then they need to be sent out. Jay, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. Is the 7.3 fan really worth it? In my opinion, no, not at all. I don't think the 7.3 fan mod's worth it. I would. If you are worried about your fan and you'd like it to be on more while towing, I would go with the blue wire mod, where you splice into the blue wire off your fan and you hook it up to a switch so you can command it on and off. It is not meant to run at full bore all the time. You'll wear your fan clutch out. Don't do that. What you can do if like you have a hill coming up or something, or you're stuck in traffic, like you can turn it on for short bursts and then cut it off. It will throw a soft code. It won't throw the check engine light, but it will throw a soft code. So bear that in mind as well. No, make sure both batteries are good. Also replace my batteries every 4 years regardless, or 3 if they are under warranty. I just have them fail before they are out of warranty. Is there a way to tell if you have oversized injectors or not? Jaden, not really. I will say this. Oversized injectors and people not having talked about it when you bought the truck is really, really rare. Because typically anytime somebody does a mod, they want money. Like they want people to know, like, oh, I did this. I should get more money for this. So you most likely have stock unless somebody else, unless they said something else about it. But even then, maybe if you can, if there's tunes in it, like it would need to be tuned to run bigger injectors well. Otherwise, it wouldn't run right. So if you're not tuned at all, then you have stock injectors. Pat, you do bring up a good point about batteries, and that is also part of like the regrounding videos I'm going to be making. It's to help give the Thickum and hopefully a longer life, and really prevent some of the issues that are going on. Because I think in some areas Ford met the minimum, and I think that Thickum grounding is something I'm looking into, and I think they are definitely worth having done. But making sure your batteries are healthy, making sure your charging system is healthy are definitely all parts of it. And actually, what I'm going to do for the wire from my alternator over to the passenger side battery, I'm going to put a smaller vacuum reservoir on the truck. And then I'm going to use that original one. I'm going to like cut it open and modify it. And I want to have like a relatively flat piece of plastic that I can bolt little fuses onto, because that'll give it a nice short go right there up to my battery. It'll also give me a nice clean spot to mount my fuses for my sound system, because I'm going to have 2 amps going. So I might go to just one. I might run like a 1-aught all the way back and then split off into 2 4 gauge wires, which will be enough for my sound system for my bigger amp and my smaller amp. That would be enough. But I'm not that far yet. So, but yeah, so I'm going to be modifying that as well. My goal is to create the cleanest looking wiring kit out there and to do the whole tutorial. Like, I know I told some of you guys, if you want them, I will build kits for you and label where everything goes. But overall, I just want to make a setup that I feel like the setups that are out there are kind of goofy. I don't like them. They do this goofy wire over the intercooler pipe, which looks like a great place for that wire to burn through. That pipe gets crazy hot. And it's this long out of the way. So I just want to make something that's super clean, and while clearly not factory, looks like somebody did it with purpose, more so than a lot of other kits out there. But I think that's very important for keeping your batteries for longer and your Thickum longer. Motorcraft Max come with 3-year warranty. If you're tuned, put it to stock, tune, see how it runs. Truck did not know anything about the truck as his friend gave it to him. Jaden, I'm going to say it's probably likely you just have stock injectors. You could pull one out and see if there's any markings. A lot of injector builders will mark the size on them somewhere, like on the body. I actually have I have my 175s out there. My 205/30s I have don't have any markings on them, but my 175 stock nozzles do. They're Warren premiums. But typically, the truck won't run correctly unless it's tuned. And I've never run a 6-liter with injectors in a tube. If the turbo is Stock probably. That's true. If the turbo is stock, I would say this: if your turbo is stock, I'm going to say there's a 99% chance you have stock injectors. Some people do upgrade injectors, but your truck sounds like it's a little bit of a story. Someone gave it away at one point or gave it to a friend. Um, I would be shocked. Yeah, if you still have warranty on your stock injectors, it is hard to say, let me let me sell these. And I will say this, if your truck is predominantly a tow, it has a Garrett Power Max. So I'm going to say you have a 90% chance of stock injectors then. I would be very shocked I still would be shocked if you had an upgrade, because a lot of people upgrade the turbo and leave injectors alone because a lot of people are willing to do a turbo. It's a less scary job than doing injectors. Anytime you start opening the valve cover, people get nervous. And I used to be like that. That used to be me. I used to get very nervous at opening up the valve cover. Um, Guys, I do want to say this. We have 5 likes. If you haven't liked the video, please hit that like button just to help. It helps the channel do better in the YouTube algorithm. I do appreciate that help. And it keeps me making videos like this and the other ones that are live on the channel now. I do like the Power Max Turbo. I know not a popular opinion for sure, but it's a good turbo. Are there better? Sure, but they're more expensive at the same time. If you have one with it on, then if you already have it on, there's no reason to change it out, in my opinion. What's up, man? I don't know how to say that name at all. I'm going to call you Aspirin, though, because ASA is the abbreviation for aspirin, and that makes me laugh a little bit on the inside. Eric, what do you... passenger valve cover slightly annoying. Yeah, I hate that back injector on the passenger side. That darn your HVAC system gets in the way. That's kind of annoying. Jaden, it depends what you want to do with your truck. For a daily driver tow truck, no, it is the epitome of diminishing returns for oversized injectors. Do I like them? Yeah, I have a lot of fun with oversized injectors. They're a heck of an upgrade from like a power standpoint. Do you need them? No, absolutely not. Pat is just talking about that. He's got a bigger turbo, and a decently sized bigger turbo at that. And he's on stock injectors and he loves it. Also, you can't use. I feel like I still got I had to buy it in a pinch. A Cobalt digital torque wrench. It has a very, very small head on it, and I was able to sneak it in there, I believe. But I do believe it was tight, and I did not like it. I mean, I do have a set of. I do have like a specific set that's just like the perfect height to get in and sits just past the solenoid on the injector body. Whereas a lot of the other ones, you can get away with a much larger, you can get away with a much longer one, and it's not in the way of crap. I don't know if Amazon has the little tool. They have the injector tool to push out the injector, although I've never used that. I just use a socket. I think it's like 21 millimeter. You can press it right out. I forget where I got the injector torque. Like, it's just Ford. I know Ford has one. Snap-on has one. There's a company making it. Injector torques. You can't get it on Amazon. I can tell you that, apparently. 6.0 Powerstroke injector. $43 for one. Oh, was it accurate diesel? I think this is where I got. I think it was accurate diesels where I bought them. I'm just trying to find them now. Not that maybe anybody cares, but I'm still looking for them. I'm this far, I want to find them. Even though I don't need them. I bought both of them just in case I ever switched anything out. It was not accurate diesel. I'll have to find those at some point because they are worth having. I think I was able to get a torque on that one because I'm paranoid about breaking any of those. I will say that. But again, I have that. Like I have a Torx wrench that has a torque wrench that has a very small head on it that does let me fit it in places. Let's see here. 06 350 sitting for 3 years, took a while to get, but found to be a standpipe dummy plugs. After replacing it, starts right up. No start issues for the past 4 days. Fixed it, drove it, not building boost pressure, pedal to the floor. What could it be? EGR isn't stuck. I have no codes. Changed map sensor. Is the hose broken? I will say a lot of 6 liters over time, like someone did a work on it. That hose that goes from the intake manifold to the sensor can break. So I would first start with replacing that. The next step you could do is to literally, pull that hose off and blow into it as hard as you can and see if I would clean it first. It's going to be gross. But see if you can create a change on your boot. Like if you can get your gauge to read boost that way, that'll at least give you some information if it's an issue with that sensor reading, with the wiring to it, or if it's the truck not building. I would say this, it is very likely, like if that hose is not broken, I would say then you probably hold on. I would want to know what what affects the VGT. Your map sensor, exhaust back pressure, VGT solenoid, and the map sensor itself. So I would then unplug your VGT and see if it changes the sound, like if it actually lets like the vanes move. What you need to really do, because it could be a stuck system with the truck having sat for so long, with some kind of monitoring device, whether that Edge, Torque Pro, Forescan, whatever, bring up your VGT duty cycle and your boost. If it will read exhaust back pressure, bring that up as well. And you need to drive it. And I want to know what your VGT duty cycle is doing. For instance, if it's saying 85%, no matter what you're doing, or doesn't really budge much off 85%, you have stuck open VGT system, which then you typically can fix by taking the turbo off, cleaning. I have a video on cleaning it. I have several videos on removing turbos. Then you can clean it and put it back together. So that is one option for it, which should at least help at a minimum. That should help your system. If it's really, really bad when you get in there, you might be looking at needing to replace a turbo, which hopefully is not the case. But I am a little worried that it sat for so long that maybe that turbo is messed up. You can get some messed up exhaust housings. That is another thing. You could go trying to find an exhaust housing on eBay. I have done this in the past. But you need to really know. You really need to know what you're looking for, because there's 3 different exhaust housings it could be, and depending on what you have, it might not fit. So it looks like here's late that's not truly accurate, because a late 04, while it will fit the 05, it's not necessarily ideal because the tolerances are meant for the 04. So you would want to double check that. But if you're looking for an 03, you might have a hard time finding an 03 housing online. You might find it, don't get me wrong. Just you might have a little bit of a hard time. I found an 03 before, years ago. Nope, that's a late 04. Anyway, yeah, before you do anything else, what I would do is I would check your monitor. I'd get the truck driving, see what your VGT duty cycle's doing. If it's at 15 or 85%, you have a stuck system. Likely it would be stuck at 85%. But if it's moving, like once you're out of idle, it comes down like in the 60s, moves with throttle response, then you don't likely have a stuck setup, and then you can kind of go from there. But we can continue to message me on any video. I'll respond, and we can start working more on figuring out what's going on. When you get a chance, can you resend me the link for the banks? I'll probably purchase it beginning of April. I have a long trip. Oh, dude, that'll be cool. Yeah, let me get you that right now. Jay, what year's your truck again? I want to say it's a later style truck, but I can never remember. Haven't taken out EBT sensor, metal hose, see if it's clogged. Can hear and see the turbo spinning. Thinking change the map sensor tomorrow. What do you think? I would check that too. So here's an easy way to double check if your map. I referenced, I don't know if you heard it, but take that hose off, clean it, and then as hard as you can. And have a monitor up. And if it reads boost that way, then you know it's not that. That hose could be cracked and letting boost out. You know, you get a truck that'll build 20 psi of boost. If you have a little hole, it's going to come out. The other thing with those intercooler boots having sat around for so long, it's very likely they've worn down and probably need replaced. If you have a plastic side intercooler pipe, that probably also is something that'll need replaced. On there, you might have a boost leak. I know my brother's truck for years. He's like, my turbo's so loud, and it really was loud. Only to realize that his upper intercooler boot, you couldn't see it when it wasn't under pressure, but it had a leak in it. When we replaced it, the sound went away. Let's get this Banks. Jay, I'm gonna get you your link here. Jay, that is the affiliate link to the Banks intercooler. So yeah, Aspirin, I would double check that as far as what's going on. Because if that gets you a boost reading, then your sensor's fine. You can ignore having anything on that. That'll verify that you're good there. You bought a special ratchet to break bolts loose. It's like 20-inch swivel head, quarter. Gotta love Harbor Freight for some stuff. Oh, yeah, that's definitely good. Check to make sure I'm fitting and the hose. Yes, that's what I would do next. That's honestly good practice, man. At this point, with as old as these trucks have gotten, um, between that, does it build any boost at all, or is it like zero, or is it just like, oh, I have a hard time building past like 12 psi of boost? Pat, what I've done is I just use a socket. Again, I think it's like a 21 millimeter. It's been a while since I've done it, but that's how I do it, and I've been able to get it out with that O-Dog intake. It is a little bit of a bear, don't get me wrong, but that's the easiest way I find. Make sure you have no leaks on your boost tubes. Innovative tunes, I liked them. I didn't love daily driving them, but those were old. I feel like they've revamped some stuff, and I plan to revisit their tunes in the near future on the channel. Definitely, probably by like this summer, I should be doing a review of innovative tunes. Yep, Pat, I have the boost tester as well. Jay, anytime, man. Aspirin, anytime. Happy to help. And just message me on any of my other videos and I will respond to you. You can also hit me up on email or turn around and get me on Instagram. Link is on the main channel page. Yeah. Let me know what you find. Because the other thing is you might have a couple issues, truthfully, that you got to kind of figure out. So that is another thing for us to work on is you could have a few things that need resolved. All right, guys, I'm going to be closing out the live stream. It is getting late and I do have to work in the morning. So thank you everybody for coming. I really do appreciate it. Most boost issues have been CAC boots. I think CAC boots are underlooked as boost issues, but typically you'll still build some boost. Just you can't like max it out. But again, I think he probably has a couple issues. You know, that one sensor could be clogged. The VGT unison ring could be stuck and need kind of some love in there, cleaning up the exhaust side of that. And then he could also have a blown intercooler, which if you just pull back there's like a little mat you can pull back on the side of the intercooler and look, if there's a gasket coming out, then that's your issue. But that typically makes a noise. You can also send me a video of the truck like driving, and that'll help me determine if you actually have like a boost leak. Sometimes the noise a truck makes will give it away. So, like I said, if you need anything, I'm happy to help, man. Thank you guys all. I hope everybody has a great night. Also clean loose. That Pat is spot on. Crush tubes, they'll never seal up again correctly the way the factory tubes are. You have more leeway on the aftermarket ones that have the bead roll going out, but the way the factory ones are, there's like a part of there's a ring on the inside that sits in a groove on those. Jay, I'm happy to help, man. I'm hoping one of these days I'm hoping to be off on a Monday and I can take these a little longer. I'd like to do like a 2.5 hour one in the future. It just hasn't worked lately with my work schedule. So, but I do plan to at some point get on that. So anyway, everybody, thank you guys. Everyone have a good night and I will see you in the next upload. Take care.